This is John Abrams, and this is The Variety Artist, episode 47. My dad told me something that stuck with me throughout the years. Here's what he said. He said, when you're born, you really don't know anything. All you want to do is be with mom and dad 24/7. You're an itty-bitty baby, and your brain is just ready to be formed, and all the knowledge is ready to be taken in. Then you grow up a little bit, you're 7 or 8 years old, and you figure, mom and dad, they know everything. They have all the answers in the universe. Then, a few years later, you become a teenager, and you think you know everything, and mom and dad don't know anything. Then, you get in your 20s, you move out, and you realize how much you don't know, and how smart your mom and your dad are. Well, as I've gotten older, I realize how much I don't know, how much knowledge there is in the world to be had. And our guest today teaches me all sorts of wonderful things. I'm excited about you guys hearing this. Now, there's a warning. In the second half of this interview, there are some exercises. He has me, and he'll have you do some exercises. Do not do them in your car. I have to say that. You can listen to them in your car, but certainly when you get home, try these exercises. They really do help. Lastly, Bob offers consulting and coaching through Skype also. You don't have to live in his town to benefit from his brilliance. So, after listening to this interview, if you're interested in consulting or coaching from a master in the game, make sure to contact Bob via email, and you can set up a Skype session. Now, let's have some fun. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. They're offering you, the Variety Artist, a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at thevarietyartist.com/book. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Just go to thevarietyartist.com/book right after this podcast and get your free audiobook. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome to The Variety Artist, providing aspiring artists and entertainers with in-depth discussions from top performers from all over the world. So get ready to book some gigs, make some money, and have some fun with your host, John Abrams.
Before I even introduce my guest today, I have to reveal a few things that were said about him on my Facebook page. Every week, I post the name and a picture of who I'm interviewing that week. Well, last week, I posted a picture of Bob Fitch, and here's the response I got. Susanna Herring said, I love Bob Fitch. Paul Romani said, OMG, Bob's work is life-changing. Billy Damon said, amazing man. Phil Ackerley said, this podcast will be a game changer. Enough of me, enough said. Variety Artist, I give you Bob Fitch.
Hey, John.
Hey, Bob, how's it going?
It's going fine, but if you don't mind, would you repeat those to my wife? It would help my marriage considerably.
Okay, you know what? I'll text them to you. You can just show them to her on your phone.
Thanks a lot. And she said she'll probably say, yeah, I know all about that. I've been there.
Now, those are some familiar names to you, right?
Oh, yeah. People I've known through the years, and some things, I forgot a couple. You know, it just comes back. I'm old, so a lot of things, a lot of things I have to, one of my kids told me, I have 6 kids. One of my kids told me, he said, well, Dad, it's not that you're getting old. It's that, you've met a lot of people, done a lot of things. You got a lot of files stored away up there, and it takes a longer amount of time to get through those files. I kind of like that explanation.
Yeah, sometimes you have so many files in your head, you put a couple extra ones in the left ear, and then a couple fall out of the right ear, right?
You know what that reminds me of? It's got nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But little sidebar. I used to do 8 pirouettes, right, as a dancer.
Okay.
Then, you don't do it for a while. I guess you could lose some of that. But I stood on one foot, and that was fine. And I stood on the other foot, and I lost my balance. I kept doing it and losing my balance. Well, I went to my chiropractor that I like, and I mentioned it to him. He said, sit down. I said, what? He said, sit down. Now, alternately tap your feet on the floor. Lift your leg up and tap the floor, left, right, left, right, left, right. Do that for 1 minute.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I did it. He said, okay, stand up and try the balance thing again. I did, and I balanced on both feet.
So what?
And they said, what the heck did you do? Laying on of hands? And he said, no. He said, it equates, it stabilizes both hemispheres of the brain. It equalizes them. And I went, I'll be damned. Isn't that great?
That is great.
I love stuff like that.
So did you start out as a dancer, or how did you start out?
Yeah, I did. There was a radio show when I was a kid, and it was called Major Bose. It was a radio talent program, and I heard tick 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 tick. What? And I said to my mother, "What the hell is that?"
Mm-hmm.
Or I didn't say hell then, but I said, "What is that?" She said, "It's tap dancing." I said, "What's that?" So she took me for a lesson. Across the room, I heard the woman say, I was 8 years old. The teacher say to my mother, "He's a natural, Mrs. Fitch." Mm-hmm. And that started the whole thing. And I just kept dancing, changing teachers as they said, well, you got to go someplace else. Wound up with Donald O'Connor's coach in L.A. and a wonderful guy who was choreographing the Ice Follies. And then I started to develop my own style, which was, besides tap dancing, I did jazz and eccentric. I became an eccentric dancer like Ray Bolger, in The Wizard of Oz.
If people don't know who Ray Bolger or Donald O'Connor are, Ray Bolger, was in The Wizard of Oz. He played the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. But what a lot of people don't know is that he was quite a dancer himself.
Well, he was a dancer. He was an eccentric dancer, which Buddy Epson was an eccentric dancer. People are going to have to look these names up. But
now, wait, there's a story about The Wizard of Oz and Buddy Epson. It's my understanding that Buddy Epson was up for the part of the Tin Man. Is that right?
Exactly. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. The Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, but was allergic to the paint, so they ended up changing acts and changing actors.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did an act, and when I was in the Army and with a partner, we did a comedy act. We went around the world. We hit almost every Army base in the world. I got out of the Army. I got out in New York in Governor's Island, and I started auditioning for shows and did summer stock that first year. And then I got my first Broadway show after I came back.
Oh, yeah. What a lot of people don't know about you is you have an extensive Broadway career, right?
Yeah. I was a bad guy. Probably the one that people know most is Annie. I was the bad guy, the villain, Rooster, in that show. I did a lot of shows with like Whoopi Goldberg and Carol Channing and
well, wait, let's go back to Carol Channing. Anybody who doesn't know Carol Channing, she starred in Hello Dolly for years in LA. I saw her actually here in LA.
Oh, okay.
On Broadway. But there's a story that you have about Carol Channing, right?
Oh, you son of a gun. Nail me to the wall here.
Go ahead. Tell us.
Dear Carol just passed away a couple of weeks ago, actually. Oh, she was 97 years old, and she was living in Los Angeles with her husband. And she was a sweetheart. She was a real sweetheart. She did Gentlemen for Blondes, I guess, 1948. Then around 1972, they revived it. They called it Lorelei because that was the name of the character that she played in the show. She had a number in the show, Mamie is Mimi, and I did it with my good friend John Mineo. We did a number together. And at one point, she's wearing this kind of diamond-studded dress, and the skirt kind of comes off, and she's in a bathing suit kind of thing. But it's all kind of glitter and very pretty, and diamonds in her stockings and the whole thing. Anyway, we are crawling on our hands and knees, John and I, and she's sitting on us as we crawl across the stage. And she's singing the song, and at one point we take the dress off and she's in her other outfit. And we're in San Francisco at the Curran Theater. The orchestra leader is right there at the edge of the stage. The orchestra's under the stage. And I could reach out and I could hold hands with the person in the first row. That's how close they were.
Okay.
At any rate, we started to smell an awful smell. And it was coming from Carol, who was, sweating.
Oh, no.
As we all were, we're doing this number and we're working. It smells awful. And at one point we're going, bleh, bleh. And we thought, oh, God, we can't do this. We're going to throw up on stage. This is awful. And when we were at the Curran, we were so close to the audience, John and I are starting to see the people in the front row doing their nose and holding their mouth.
Oh, no.
And we thought, oh, my God. The thing was, she was a health nut.
Huh?
And she would put towels underneath her door in the dressing room so the dust couldn't get in. And she ordered fresh flounder from Finland.
Fresh powder from Finland.
Yeah, because, I don't know, it was healthier or something. I have no idea. At some point, this fish odor started pouring through her pores.
Oh, no.
and John and I said, what are we going to do? Are you going to tell her? He said, no, I can't tell her. I can't. So John's little boy, 5 years old, was with us.
Oh, no. And wait, and she's the big star at the time, right?
Well, she's the star of the show, yeah. In the hotel, we're around the corner from where her room is. She's like two doors down, and we're around the corner. So we send Johnny's little boy, Jared, we send him to her dressing room, and he knocks on the door, and we're peeking around the corner. She loves little kids. He knocks on the door. She opens the door. She says, well, hello, Jared. How are you? And he looks up at her, and he says, my daddy says you stink.
Oh, no.
And Johnny and I pull back. We're choking. We can't laugh. We'll give it away, we're listening in on this. And she says, oh, is that right? Well, maybe I'm eating too much fish. I guess I have to watch that. Well, come in, Jared. I'll give you something to eat. And she stopped smelling after that. She took it to heart, and she never mentioned it to us because she knew where it came from. But I had a hard time looking at her for a couple of days.
That's awful.
I thought I would laugh out loud or turn beet red or something,
Well, I'm glad she took it to heart.
She did. She took it seriously and realized, oops, it's going to bother the audience too.
Whenever another entertainer offers you a mint or gum, take it.
Take it. Yeah. It's very subtle. And she did one thing that's very interesting that maybe even magicians should know about. If I had to characterize her in a drawing, I would simply draw a diagonal line, like from the corner of the upper left corner of one piece of paper down to the lower right corner. That was Carol Channing to me, because she seemed to be leaning out over the audience. It looks like she's leaning forward, and the truth is she was almost blind.
Oh.
So she's leaning forward to try to see you.
Oh, I didn't know
Try
that.
to see you better. But what happened is it made her much more immediate. In other words, people really felt like she was looking at them.
Right.
Or she was trying to look at them. She emphasized that look. In fact, it's one of the things I work on when I work with magicians or speakers. Okay, this will explain it.
Sure.
I was at church one day, and a woman came up to me at coffee break, and she said, I'm a good teacher, and I can't get the kids to pay attention to me. I teach 3rd and 4th grade. What should I do? And I went, who are you? Said, let me get my cup of coffee first, will you? Yeah. I said, okay, why don't you pretend that you have a whole class here? I'm in the middle row, and there's a row on my left and on my right. So you talk to them and you tell them about what we're going to do today in arithmetic. She said, okay. She said, well, kids, we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to do something we've never done before. Now, we've always done arithmetic where we added things up. But today, we're going to reverse it, and we're going to take things away from each other. I said, I got it. You think you're talking to everybody. Because she was looking around at everybody, moving her head from side to side. And I said, you think you're talking to everybody? She says, well, of course. I said, it's a good idea. But you're not doing that at all. You're like a lighthouse. The light goes around and around and around, and it shines on everybody, but it focuses on no one. I said, so if you finish one thought with one person before you look to the next person, okay?
Yeah.
Look at one person. Hey, kids, we're going to have a lot of fun today. You're going to really enjoy this. That's the end of a thought. Now I look at somebody else. We've always done addition, where we put things together. We like building up blocks. You finish that thought. Now look around to the other side. Look at somebody. Really look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to take things away, like knocking the blocks down.
Yeah.
You try that. One thought with one person. Not run on sentences, not run on looking at people.
Yep, makes sense.
You call me at the end of the week. You call me that Friday, the following Friday. Geez, I can't believe it. Everybody's paying attention to me. I got their whole attention. I said, that was the difference. It's an incredible difference. You can have a whole audience of 2,000 people. And if you do that, maybe you're looking at 5 people because you have 5 different thoughts. Everybody feels like you're talking to them.
It's actually individual people listening. It's not a whole crowd listening. It's individual people listening.
And people know you're really talking to someone, not at them. You're not talking at them. You're talking to them. And they also feel like, well, he may talk to me. So they pay better attention. Interesting. Joe Crisello, who was a wonderful lawyer, trial lawyer, but he's also a fabulous magician, mind reader. He called me. I was at my brother's in Los Angeles. I don't know how he found me. Mind reading, I guess. He found me. He said, I did it. I said, what did you do? He said, I had to do a keynote speech at this university, 200 people, 45 minutes, and I vowed to myself that I would talk to everybody one thought at a time. I said, you did separately 200 people? He said, yeah. That's incredible. I said, what happened? He said, I got a standing ovation. And afterwards, the dean said to me, I've heard a lot of speakers here and a lot of good speeches. But he said, I have never seen the kind of reaction that you got today with that standing ovation. He said, I've never seen people pay such good attention as they did with you. I don't know what you did, but it was incredible.
Wow.
There you go.
That's great advice for any entertainer. Let's go back to Ray Bolger and Donald O'Connor.
You got to give those guys credit. They're stars in their own right. There wasn't anybody to teach them their style. They discovered who they were and what worked for them the best, and they became stars with it.
That's right.
I got to give them a lot of credit. Nowadays we look for teachers to help us do that. Those guys, they figured it out themselves. That was the old way. And they did it, and they're stars, and they're fabulous. That's what I learned. What I also learned is that my way is okay, too. Because I came up with, I have my own way of doing things, my own thinking about it, philosophically. While I'm different than they are, I realize that my way is just as valuable or just as good, just as realistic, So,
that's a great lesson for everybody, because when you start doing this, you do emulate, or a lot of people emulate the people that they've seen in the past. But the ones that really become stars are the ones that come up with something unique and individual that is just for them, that they've created out of their own personality.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of? I was just talking with Wesley James, who's a fabulous magician and an incredible writer. And he was just talking about, we were talking on the email about the problem with magic today, people learning magic. Mm-hmm. They learn it from DVDs or videos.
Right.
And what happens with that habit is that you end up copying somebody else. In the old days, meaning when I was a kid.
and when I was a kid.
Okay, don't talk dirty. You didn't have videos or DVDs.
Yep.
You might have an old film or something, but you basically learned it out of books. And I can remember poring over books when I was 12, 13, 15, whatever. And I was just absorbing everything. And I came up with some moves. And 20 years later, I went back and I looked at some of those books where I had learned some of these basic sleights. And I realized in several cases that I had misread the instructions.
Ah.
And I had come up with my own way of doing it without realizing it.
Mm.
And I now, in retrospect, I realized that what I came up with, I liked better than what I had read.
Yeah.
I felt my method was better.
Yeah.
In movement things, you can't copy somebody else exactly like carbon paper. You've got to find out who you are when you move.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people learn a move or a sleight, but they never do what it really is supposed to be doing? You know, I toss a coin into my hand. Well, why don't I really toss the coin into my hand and see how my hands react?
Yeah.
And film it. Don't look in a mirror. A mirror doesn't help you. A mirror is only to find out if something is flashing.
Sure.
But you cannot see movement in a mirror. You got to look in a video to see that.
Mm.
So, you know, if I throw a coin in my hand, I see how the hand responds. The catching hand moves backwards, and then the throwing hand moves forwards. Well, if you're copying something you saw in the video, you may not do that. You may not do what's natural. So you're calling more attention to it because you don't know who you are physically. I mean, those are basic things that when people realize who they are and how they move or how they talk or anything, who are you, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that when they do it.
If you're copying some other magician, they may not move like you. They may not do the same things that you do. So it doesn't fit your personality, your movement, the whole thing.
Or the way you think.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful story about Bob Sheets.
Mm.
It's a perfect example of that. He came to my very first workshop in 1999, and I had a questionnaire I give everybody, and he didn't give me one. I said, well, Bob, I'm not sure how I can help you. I mean, I can watch your material, but it's nice to know ahead of time what you really are looking to find out. And he said, well, I just want to be better.
That's kind of a wide open question.
Well, yeah, you know, he suspected something, but he couldn't put his finger on it, right? Mm-hmm. He suspected he could be better. But what are the tools? Where can I be better? Or what is it, you know? After it was over, we laughed a lot. I mean, he's funny. He's just funny. We laughed. I said, well, that was great. Who are you? What? No, don't give me your name, Bob Sheets. Yeah. Who are you? Who are you? Why do you do magic? Why do you do magic? He came to my next workshop a year later. I asked him the same question. Then he hired me to go out to Magicopolis in Santa Monica, California for a week while he was doing a show there.
Not far from me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're going to tell me why you do magic right now, or I'm going to stay here and you're going to have to pay for my hotel room until you do. He said, well, is this it? Most magicians like to fool you. I don't like to fool you. I like to fool with you. I went, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Bob, you like to scam people. You like to lead them down the garden path and then destroy them, hit them over the head. I said, oh my God, the things that you've been trying to erase, trying to hide, are your very tools. Are the tools that you can use to accomplish that fool with them idea. I said, because you have a slight stutter. You have a dyslexia. When you try to hide it, your head shakes. I said, those are your tools in order to fool with people. You don't have to hide them anymore. You can use them because that's who you are. So, folks, I want to show you what I'm going to do here. Now, what are the people thinking? They're thinking, oh, my God, this idiot thinks he's going to fool us. and those tools just led them down the garden path, got them thinking their own thoughts, and then, bang, you fool the hell out of them, and they just realize they've been scammed. And they laugh, and they laugh, and they realize. And those were his tools, but he didn't know because he didn't know who he was. So he was trying to hide it, and he didn't know why he did it, or he didn't use why he did it.
Yeah.
Those were his tools. Now that's who he is, and that's his thrust, how he presents his tricks.
So that changed his whole way of presenting his performance.
And he found out who he was, and he just matured in his magic.
And it probably made things so much easier for him, too, to put things together.
Well, yeah, he didn't have to hide. He didn't have to worry about was he going to stutter or this and that. It changed his life. You know?
Yeah. I just recently came from a Northern California tour, and I befriended Phil Ackerley.
Oh, yeah.
Who was a magician up there. And he asked about suggestions you gave to Paul Gertner to change him, and lessons for all of us. Something about the trick with the stick.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I don't think Paul would mind. I went out of town for a week with him. And he would finish the show with his steel ball cups and balls, right? Yep. It's in his book. He does like 3 tricks in one. He borrows a ring, it vanishes. It appears ultimately around the hourglass that's sitting on his table. And he has to break the hourglass to free the ring. And he's doing the balls and everything else. Okay, so he does that trick, that wonderful trick, incredible combination. And he said, thanks, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. Good night. And walks off the stage. I said, Paul, what are you giving the audience to do? What do you think? What do you think they're saying? You finished that fabulous trick. You think the trick is enough, don't you? To leave them with. It's a great trick. What do you think you're leaving them with? I said, this is how they finish. Yeah, great trick. Okay. I'm hungry. Where do we go eat? I said, you want them talking like that? You want them talking? I mean, they hardly talked about the trick. You fooled the hell out of them. They applauded, and now they're going to dinner. I said, don't you want them talking about you? Want something human. The trick is so good that it's the trick, but it doesn't leave them with you. You have to leave them with you. I want them talking about what a great guy. I really enjoyed him. Really fabulous. And he's a good magician, too. Don't you want him saying things like that? I said, you've got to have something human. That trick is not human. I mean, it's a wonderful trick. It's a wonderful 3 tricks, but it's not human. You got to have something human to finish the show. So the next workshop, he came back with a trick he invented when he was 17. He was on Captain Kangaroo or something with it. He called it a trick with a stick. It was a rebar that was the size of a wand, right? A rebar, you know what it is, right? Metal piece that goes into cement to help cement to, be stronger.
Right, building material. Yeah.
Right, and at the end of so he does a whole flip stick routine with this rebar. It disappears. He pulls it out of his coat, and at the end, he lifts it above his head, holding both ends, and he bends the rebar into a half circle, into a rainbow, and the thing changes color.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. It's just great. So anyway, the next workshop, he comes in, and he said, I'm going to do this for my closer. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, I got 2 kids, and they're in college now. I used to tell them bedtime stories all the time, but they're gone, and I have no one to tell these bedtime stories to. So for my closing effect tonight, I'd like to tell you a bedtime story.
Nice.
Yeah, and he puts his glasses on. He says, a trick with a stick. So I said, and it was really wonderful. Just before he does it, we had done some acting sessions that day, and I got the idea. I said, okay, be center right stage when you do that intro about, your kids and telling stories. Mm-hmm. Now, walk to the center as you tell them, tonight I'd like to tell you a bedtime story. Yeah. I called it a trick. Your glasses are in your hand. A trick. Lift the glasses up with a stick. Boom. Put those glasses on, accent it like an exclamation point. A trick with a stick. Boom. I said, now, don't just tell me the story. Be Dr. Seuss. And do it like Dr. Seuss would do it. A trick with a stick. Mm-hmm. well, the trick with the stick is very quick, whatever, and then flick it, you know, and and we are, sorry, peeing our pants. It is just incredible. This is not the Paul Gertner that we know.
Yeah.
He's jumped 5 steps into this entertainment thing, you know.
Yeah.
We all jump to stand up and we give him an ovation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's incredible. He looks at us with disdain. He turns around, takes 3 steps, I'll never forget it, turns back halfway and looks at us, and he said, you don't expect me to do that crap in my show. Oh. And we are dumbfounded.
You're like, yes, I do expect you to do that crap. Yes.
That's exactly what I said. Yes, of course, get over it. Then he came back, because we always have 2 sessions. He came back and he said, well, I want to work on the setup, you know, the storytelling line. But then he goes and does the whole trick. A trick with a stick is very quick. And I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And he finishes it. And we hardly give him any applause at all. And I said, well, gosh, you really showed us how bad that trick is, huh? That was really crap. You like to do crap? Is that it? Is that how you're going to do it for people? I said, wow. I said, what's the matter? You can't get over yourself? You know, the first one we saw was fabulous because we saw the actor that's in you really taking the stage, not being afraid, really daring to entertain us, to get outside of himself, to stop being so friggin' self-conscious. I said, I challenge you to do the trick the way you first did it at a performance. And if you don't get an incredible reaction, I will give you the price of this workshop back.
Yeah.
A month later, he emailed me and he said, and I could hear his voice, so I guess this is something you'd like to hear. He said, I did it. And I got a standing ovation. Oh. And he said, I did something I never did before. I stayed after the show. I usually pack up and just get out of there. He said, I stayed after the show and I kind of polled the people. I said, did you have a good time tonight? Oh, yeah, I really did. Is there one trick you like better than the others? Oh, yeah. The trick with a stick. How about you? Anything you like better? Oh, yeah, the trick with a stick. I called him back and said, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that worked and that you realize how good it is and how good you were. And I'm also happy I don't have to give you your money back. Well, something happened with him because everything he did after that, he would send me scripts of things he did. My God, the scripts were funny, and he dared to get a little bit risque, something he never did before because he was so kind of pure and esoteric, but stiff. And what happened was it freed him up. He found out who he was and that there was no fear, and that in a funny way, if he were true to himself, he could do no wrong. My God, it just changed his whole thing. But he had to go through that moment of disbelief and maybe embarrassment because he's doing something outside of his comfort zone. But he dared. I got to say, it was really an incredible thing to watch.
Yeah.
I love it when people have that breakthrough. It's an incredible thing. It opens up the world to them. You know, I have a granddaughter who was working for Goldman Sachs. She was in college and she did an intern. Then they said, after you get out, we want you to work for us. So she got the job, and I called her up on the phone and I said, I know you're smart. I mean, you know, you're 4.0 and all that, but they've got a lot of people there who know what they're doing. Why did they hire you? She said, Papa, because I solved a problem that nobody else there could solve. I said, what? She said, yeah, I'm in the problem-solving department, not the money department. She said, I think vertically, And I realized the other people here thought horizontally. She said, in other words, they've got rules. You can't do this. You can't do it this way. You can't do it that way. You got to do it this way. Yeah, magicians, you can't turn your back on the audience. Rules like that. There are no rules. There are only principles.
Mhm.
Does that principle apply to this situation? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But it's not a steadfast rule. She said, so they were hampered by rules. She said, I've been grown up in an artist's family, and I think vertically. I think outside the box. And I had lots of ideas, and they liked one of them, and they hired me.
There's a famous scene in Men in Black, of all things. He's applying for a job, the MIB, and then they're all sitting in a room together, and they have to take this test, and there's no place to put the test. And so people are writing on their hands, you know, they're holding the piece of paper and it's crumpling and they're putting holes in the pieces of paper. And then Will Smith grabs one of the tables, he moves it close to him, and he uses the table to finish his test. And he thinks differently than everybody else in the room.
Right.
And he ends up getting it, not because he passed the test, but because he moved the table.
Right.
And that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So go against the, why? There's so many rules. Think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you have some sort of exercises or something that we can give our listeners to help them with their variety art?
Yeah. Here's a couple of things. It's interesting. Stand with your back to a blank wall, right? Put your heels up against the wall.
Okay.
Now take the first two fingers, say your right hand, and hold them horizontally. So as if you put your fingers on a table, both fingers would be on the table instead of vertically, right? Put them behind the center of your head in the back, and put the fingers and the head against the wall. So your fingers are touching the wall.
Got it.
That's perfect posture. Now walk away from the wall with that same feeling. When people see that, they right away think you're going to have something important to say, or you're well worth watching or listening to. I can't tell you how many people, they may be heavy-chested, they may be leaning forward, they may be peering over their glasses. They're looking like 77-year-old men. That sense of that head being straight gives you such presence when you walk onto the stage. It's really interesting just to get that different feeling.
Yeah, I just did it just now.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I did. While you were talking, I stood up and I stood against the wall. I put my fingers up, and I feel strong and powerful. You know?
Well, that's it. You want to walk on the stage that way, right? You make your entrance. How do I make an entrance? It's half the battle.
Yeah.
The audience assesses you the first 3 seconds you're on stage. Are you looking at them, or are you just looking at the floor? What are you doing?
Do you have another exercise for us?
Well, if you walk on stage that way, you walk on from stage right, which is your right as you look at the audience, right? When you looked at the old movies, the good guys on the white horses and the white suits came in from your left. The bad guys and the black horses and the black suits came on from your right. So interesting, because we read from left to right.
Yep.
So if you look at something like Jeff McBride's coin act, Miser's Dream with the little boy in the bucket.
Yeah.
The little boy is on his left, which is our right. We look at the little boy having fun, laughing, squirming around, and we like Jeff very much because he's not making fun of the kid, he's having fun with the kid. So we respect him and we like him. If he were on the other side, you might like him, but not as much. Because you would be watching Jeff more than the little boy, even though the kid is reacting and he's producing coins and the whole thing. If you put somebody on your left as you're on stage, that makes them the star and you're the hero. If you put yourself on the left and your volunteer on your right, you're the star and he's the hero. Now, what do you want from this trick? What do you want the audience to feel? Do you want to take all the credit and therefore be on the left? Or do you want to involve the spectator and have him on your left?
Yeah.
If you took a film class, you would learn about the left to right principle.
Mm-hmm.
You put your table on your right or on your left. People do it because of they're right-handed or left-handed. But what do you want? Do you want them to watch you, or do you want them to think that the table is doing it for you?
I got to think about that myself next time I'm on stage, or I got to think about that as I'm going through my head with my show.
I was at the Castle a couple of years ago. Len Parrington, wow, I remembered the name, was doing a close-up. He did a nice show. He was very familiar. His name was familiar. Afterwards, we talked. He said, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said, "Well, you know, you're really familiar, but I don't remember, no." He said, "Well, I was 15. He's probably 47 now. And he said, "I was 15. There was Al's Magic Shop in Washington, D.C. You came in you were there with a show to say hello to Al. He brought you downstairs. There were several of his kids down there learning magic. You talked to us for 45 minutes and you changed my life." I went, I changed your life? He said, "Yeah." I said, "How did I do that?" He said, "You told me that when I talk to somebody, if I look at them, I should face them." I said, "That's it?" He said, "Yeah, isn't that great?" I said, "Well, yeah, if you say so." So I went home and I thought, what the heck? Okay, 15 years old. He's probably very shy. He's probably facing maybe a little bit to his left. And he kind of looks at you, you're out front. And somebody says, now, if you're talking to somebody, you got to face them. So now I turn my whole body so that I'm facing you. I may find it a little easier to look at you now. I may be getting a better reaction now. Maybe I'm realizing that, and I straighten up a little bit. My posture's a little better. I'm looking at you more intensely now. I really am talking to you now, not at the floor or over to the left. And I grow up and I become a better magician because my presentation is better, because I'm talking to you. And I thought, okay, that's it. That he grew up being more aware of the audience. And then I worked with Jim Vines past year, did a wonderful act with a wallet, credit cards, money, bills. We had several sessions on Skype. He sent me his last session, and I saw every movie made. When you say he's looking at the people over on his left. Then he moves his body to look at the right, but his body and his head move together. It's robotic. Yeah. And as a result, I saw everything his hands did to get the things off the black art table. And I emailed him or called him on the phone, I don't remember. And I said, "Jim, you're a robot. When you look at the people on your right, your head should look first, and your body follows your head. When you go to the right, you look right first. You don't want to trip on anything. You don't want to miss anything, whatever the reason is. It's just a natural thing. But you watch other people. When they look over to the right, then their body moves to face the right. If I look over to the left, then my body follows. But it doesn't happen at the same time." I said, you're not human when you do that. So he sent me another video doing the human thing to do. And I knew exactly when he was making the steel, and I could not see them.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't believe it. I know where it is. I should see his fingers moving. I didn't see a damn thing. And I went, I'll be darned. And for some reason, which I cannot explain to you, I couldn't see the moves.
Huh.
It was incredible. But because of that thing with the kid, when he was 15 years old, I remember that left to right thing and facing the person when you talk to them. It was kind of the same basis for the move. Okay, can I give you the one breathing exercise?
Yeah, give me a breathing exercise.
Okay, put your hand on your chest.
Okay.
Put the other hand on your lower back on your kidneys.
Okay.
Okay. Breathe in through your mouth deeply. Do it a couple of times. Okay, where do you feel mostly? You feel mostly in your chest, right?
Well, I feel a lot in my diaphragm only because I was also theatrically trained.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But normally,
But yeah.
if I breathe deeply through my mouth, I feel it in my chest.
Okay.
Okay. When I did that as a dancer, I couldn't sing afterwards. My mouth dried out. I was out of breath. The singer said, "You don't breathe right." He said, "Breathe through your nose. Breathe into your stomach, and that'll go up to your chest. Now, breathe in through your nose deeply. And you feel it more in the small of your back." All right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, there's one other spot that nobody uses. It's right above your clavicles, between your shoulders and your clavicles.
Okay.
All right? This exercise will help you use the clavicles. Okay? There's 3 parts to it. Put my hands on my head, on the top of my head. Keep your head level,
Okay.
chin level. Don't intertwine your fingers. Put one hand on top of the other.
All right.
Now, to open the clavicles, push your elbows back.
Back. Okay.
Behind
Okay.
your shoulders if you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, take a deep breath into your belly. That's number 1. Okay. Now, as you let the air out, number 2, put your upper teeth on your bottom lip, right? And as you exhale, you're going to not let the air go, but you're going to, like you're going to say, "Phooey, phooey." Except, listen to me. I'll take a breath, elbows back, teeth on lip, and push the stomach to the spine. Push the air out through your diaphragm. I'm putting my teeth on my lip, and instead of just letting it out, I'm forcing it out, not letting it out easily, so that I have to use my diaphragm to help push it out, okay? Then the third thing is push your arms back again. Now take a breath in through your mouth and nose. And as you do it, lift your arms to the sky and then out to your sides. So I'm going to take the breath in through my mouth and nose. Arms are up. Let it out. Let's put the 3 together. Hands on head, head level, elbows back. Breathe through the nose to your belly. Teeth on lip. Push the diaphragm to your spine. Elbows back. Take a breath in through your mouth and nose. Lift the arms way up. Okay, do it 3 times. Here we go. Breathe. Elbows. That's 1. Do it again. Elbows back. Elbows back. Mouth, nose. Last time. Elbows back. Teeth. Force diaphragm. Mouth, nose. Relax for a minute. Shake out the shoulders. Now listen to my voice. Does it sound any different to you?
Yeah. Strong.
It's strong. It's more resonant. You hear the consonants at the ends of words, even though I'm not working at it. And you speak. See what happens.
And now you're hearing mine. I sound better, I think, right?
Oh, God, yes.
Did I sound that bad before?
No. But the difference is much more resonant.
It's true. It feels deeper and fuller.
Yeah.
More full.
And slower. I've given this exercise to mimes, and they said, "Well, what do? We don't speak. Why do we have to do this?" I said, "Just do it. Just do it." And then after your performance, you tell me what you thought. And they come back and they said, "I can't believe it. I went out, I had more confidence. Even though I didn't speak, I just felt more together. Interesting, huh?
It is interesting. And I'm sitting here in my chair with my shoulders back and my head up.
Right. But if you're standing up, it would even be better. So
Even better.
Yeah.
Those are great exercises. Now tell me about your Top It workshop DVD set.
Well,
I know I kind of switched gears on you real fast.
okay. I produced, with Bob Kohler, I produced a 3 DVD set of the Top It. I worked with some guys who had portly belly, fat bellies, okay?
Okay.
He said, we can't use a top, we can't throw around our belly. And that was a problem to be solved. So I figured out several ways which you don't have to throw into a Top It. You can drop into a Top It, place into a Top It, flip into a Top It. So anybody with a belly can use it. I even developed a Top It for the double-breasted coat, which obviously you can't throw into, but all the other moves of the regular Top It. It's about not just tricks, but how to use the Top It, how to. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of information on a Top It.
Yeah, well, I did it for a long time, so I always wanted to be Slidini. I will never sit at a table. I'm too hyper.
Yeah.
I have to stand up.
You're kind of like me.
Yeah.
I'm that way too.
It's very active, Anyway, I'm not comfortable at a table doing stuff like that. Performance has always been stand up to me.
If anybody's interested in getting Bob's Top It Workshop 3 DVD set, I'm going to put those on the show notes on my page. So they can just click the link and go right to your store.
Yeah, they can use my email.
Perfect.
You give them that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that before I let you go. Now, what about your manuscript, Sharing My Secrets?
Yeah, I wrote a manuscript on, I call them the hidden secrets. In other words, the secrets that people don't know about. I mean, people think about the tricks, but they're secrets like, what's your appeal? Who are you, in other words? What is your appeal? Why should people watch you? Do your actions fit your words? Which do you like better? I'm going to take this ball, and I'm going to make a noise, right? I'm going to make it vanish, boom, and I throw it. Second, I'm going to make this ball, and I'm going to do it at the same time as I say the word. I'm going to make this ball vanish. Now, the third way is I'm going to make this ball, boom, vanish. So the first one is I'm going to make this ball vanish, boom. I'm going to make this ball vanish.
Got it.
I'm going to make this ball, boom, vanish. Which one do you like better?
Yeah, I like the third one, personally.
Right, because words can get in the way of actions. As human beings, our strongest sense is our sight. Dogs, maybe their smell. If you see something and you talk at the same time, I kind of don't hear what you say, only peripherally. But it gets in the way of that single experience, which is sight. So if I say it before I say the word, then I will get the applause. I'm going to make this ball vanish as I look at the audience.
Yep.
But if I tell them what I'm going to do before I do it, I'm going to make this ball vanish, bang. I don't get the applause. Besides, I've taken away their surprise. I told them what I was going to do before I'd done it. Do your actions fit your words is really what that's all about. What are you saying? What's the patter got to do? Is it just patter? Or do you have a human point of view for saying it? Do you have a reason for saying it? When Paul did his, I'm going to tell you guys a bedtime story.
Yeah.
He humanized that trick because it was something personal to him. So how do you personalize your magic? My wife came away from watching The Magician in Paris. She said, I really like that guy. I really like so few magicians. And I said, why did you like him? She said, because, well, he was nice, but he was real. I believed what he was saying. It wasn't just some little story that fit, you know.
He brought himself. We've talked a lot about that, bringing yourself into your magic or into your variety art, whatever it may be.
Well, yeah, it's yours. You do it. It's your talent, your skill. Why not be a part of it? You know?
Yeah, and that's the way you become unique.
Why should tricks be separate from you? You know?
Yeah.
It's not about the tricks. It's about you.
Yeah, a lot of this is in your manuscript, Sharing My Secrets.
Yeah, keeping fresh. How do you keep fresh? Communicating, like we were talking about, talking to people, not at them. What are you hiding? A lot of magicians hide behind their hands. Some people watch their hands. I had a 62-year-old guy at a lecture one time for a club. And he said, well, would you critique me? I said, well, it's a lecture, not a workshop. And the guys in the club said, yeah, go ahead. So he did the ambitious card. He did 7 phases. It was really good, you know. He really couldn't see his moves. And so after it was over, they applauded him. I said to the group, I said, so how was that? He said, yeah, it was really great. He says, his moves are down pat. I can't see a damn thing. I said, yeah, is that all? So I said to him, so who are you performing for? How do you feel? He said, felt good. I got away with it. I said, yeah, you did. It was really good.
You got away with it.
I said, who are you performing for? He said, well, everybody. I said, no, you weren't. You didn't take your eyes off your hands the entire time. You didn't even look at the volunteer. Now he starts to crumple. You know, he's in front of all. I said, stop. You asked me to critique you. I'm not putting you down. I said, you just haven't discovered who you are yet. When did you learn this? I was 18, and now you're 62. Okay, you're 44 years you've been doing this trick. Did you ever think about where this trick originated? Who did it first? No. I said 44 years and you didn't think about that. Okay. Di Vernon was 22 and he showed this trick to Houdini. Houdini had a big ego, couldn't be fooled. I know magic. No magician can fool me. 22-year-old fooled him with this trick. How do you think Houdini felt? I said, that's pretty nice, son. Why don't you show it to my wife over here? Fooled him again. You think he felt? You're going to be pretty good someday, son. Show it to my friends over here. Fooled him again. How do you think Houdini felt? Were his hands clenched? Was his jaw tight? Were the muscles on his neck sticking out? Was his teeth clenched? He fooled him 7 times. What do you think he did? Tell that story. What? Tell a story. Improvise it. Well, the guy was incredible. He improvised this story, and at the end he said, Houdini, he clenched his fist. He stomped over to him. He grabbed the cards out of his hand. He turned around, gave him a dirty look, and walked off. And the guys all stood up and gave him an ovation. And I said to the group, I said, oh, okay, sit down. So what do you think? One of the guys said, that's not the same man. And I turned to him and I said, and how do you feel? He said, and tears were coming out of his eyes. He said, you've changed my life.
Oh.
I said, well, thank you for that, but I didn't really change your life. I answered your question. I opened the door and a light bulb went off in there. And you found out you had a talent you didn't even know about. You're a born storyteller, and you didn't even know it. Now, every trick you do from now on, you got to tell a story. Not the things you like to play with, but things you like to perform. You've got to find a way to personalize a story and use that in your trick, because you are very powerful.
Well, how can someone get a hold of either that book or the DVD set?
Well, they can email me and let me know, and I can tell them prices and whatever.
Perfect. I will put your email on the show notes, but go ahead and give it to us here anyway, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't mind. It's Fitch Magic, Fitch, and magic, of course, you know how to spell, at AOL.com.
Thanks so much for doing this. You gave so much great information, and you've been so open and honest, and I just appreciate everything you're doing, Bob.
Well, thank you.
You want to get one of Bob's DVD sets on Toppets or his manuscript or consulting in person or via Skype, make sure to shoot Bob out an email. Thanks to all my variety artists. If you found this podcast valuable, share it with your friends on your social media. You can join my free Facebook group at The Variety Artist, where you can ask me to ask questions of our guests. We have a lot of fun on there. You can get a hold of me at john@thevarietyartist.com. That's my email address, or shoot me out a message on Facebook. Now go out and book those gigs, make some money, and have some fun.
That's all for this episode of The Variety Artist, but your journey continues on our website. Go to thevarietyartist.com for more strategies, insight, and resources, as well as show notes on today's guest to assist you in your career. We'll see you on the next episode of The Variety Artist. But until then, go out and book those gigs, make some money, and have some fun.